But that's the Churchill side of the world. What we're here tonight to do is incredibly honor the Erlanger and Slidell sides of the world, because without them, you would not be with us, and we would not be here tonight celebrating. Minnie, would you come up and say a few words for us tonight? We're so honored to have you with us.
President Brexner, Chief of Staff all day, ladies and gentlemen of the Erlanger Health System and of Chattanooga, thank you for your gracious welcome, and thank you for that great honor that's been bestowed on me this evening. I've had a lovely time seeing your beautiful city and the superb facilities of Erlanger Health System. Like my great-grandfather before me, Baron Emile d'Erlanger, nearly a century and a quarter ago, this is my first visit to Chattanooga. Now I've seen for myself why he called Chattanooga the Pearl City of the South. At that time, at another event at the old Stanton House, Baron d'Erlanger announced the gift that opened the way to realization of Baroness Erlanger Hospital. He was looking to the future then, as we all do today. His vision prospered. Perhaps it would be well to relive some moments of that seminal evening in 1889. It was his only trip to the United States. He'd come to see the country and to inspect his inspiration, a railroad line paralleling the Mississippi from Cincinnati to New Orleans, with its center at Chattanooga. He knew that industry and prosperity would follow. A few years earlier, he had sent his son, Emile Beaumont d'Erlanger, my grandfather, then barely 20 years old, to travel what became known as the Queen and Crescent route. It had been 10 years in the building. Now Baron d'Erlanger came to see for himself. He had been well received in the United States from the moment of his arrival at New York. He was met by Charles Schiff, president of the Queen and Crescent route, who escorted him and his party to Cincinnati over the Pennsylvania Railroad. From there they took the Cincinnati Southern, part of the Queen and Crescent, to Chattanooga. Traveling with Baron d'Erlanger were his brother-in-law, my great-granduncle, Alfred Slidell, and another of his 4 sons, Frederic d'Erlanger, aged 21. Frederic was described by one of the newspapers as a good-looking, tall young man with light hair and a fresh, rosy skin. Another newspaper unabashedly advised, "Girls, here is your chance." The Baron himself was seen this way. Though 56, he looked scarcely 40. He is quick and impulsive in his movements and graceful in his bearings. He speaks English fluently with a trace of the French accent. His wife's role in the Trent affair nearly 30 years earlier was well remembered, because the steamship Trent was British and therefore neutral. John Slidell had chosen her for passage abroad for himself and his family. He was being sent as Confederate States ambassador to France. The Trent was overhauled on the high seas by a United States warship, which sent a boarding party to arrest him and his colleague James Mason, Confederate ambassador to England. Mathilde Marguerite Slidell, then a girl of 19, bravely placed herself in the invader's path in a vain attempt to shield her father. John Slidell reassured his daughter and allowed himself to be taken. This flagrant violation of neutrality caused an international furore. There was speculation whether Britain would retaliate or even abandon neutrality and enter the Civil War on the side of the South. Prince Albert, the Queen's consort, then a dying man, intervened, toning down an aggressive response drafted by the British government. He framed instead a diplomatic approach that smoothed the way to amicable resolution of the crisis. He was so ill, he remarked to the Queen, I could hardly hold my pen. A fortnight later, Prince Albert was dead. His last great public service helped avert conflict with the United States and preserve the peace for Britain. After being detained several weeks, the Southern ambassadors were freed by President Lincoln and allowed to proceed to Europe. John Slidell rejoined his family and took up his post in Paris. His search for Confederate financial support led him to the young banker, Emile Erlanger. Together they designed an innovative and highly successful bond that sold well in Europe and the United Kingdom and provided major funding for the South. It was known as the Cotton Loan. Into the bargain, of course, the banker found his life's partner, my great-grandmother Mathilde. They were married in Paris 146 years ago this month. Here in Chattanooga, making his hospital gift, my great-grandfather acknowledged tributes to his wife. In his words, I surely appreciate this kind reception. The allusions made to me and my wife have touched my heart and made me more than usually grateful to you. As a souvenir of my visit, I beg to present the city $5,000 with my compliments. According to the news account, the effect was electric. Everyone rose as if by magic, and the applause was deafening. A motion swelled from the floor. The hospital be named in honor of the Baroness Erlanger. It carried by acclamation. I'm so pleased and proud that that title lives today. My great-grandfather's life was all about development. He saw great promise in Chattanooga. Summing up his feelings, he said, for 10 years I have occasion to decide questions of great interest at Chattanooga. I take pride in having helped to develop this country by taking the railroad under unfavorable conditions and bringing it up to its present condition. Chattanooga is well known to me. I know it is a self-made town, not created by foreign capital, but developed by the industry, thrift, courage, and prudence of its citizens. These words ring true today. I cannot help but believe he will be so proud to know what you have accomplished here, building this great institution of healthcare, research and learning, the Erlanger health system. I'm proud to stand here where he stood and witness this legacy. Thank you again for this wonderful reception and for all you have done to keep the memory of my family going. It's really wonderful.